Hey everyone, it's Nolan Rose with Capital Estates here. Today I'm going to be going more in depth in finding investment properties. The last video I made, I kind of went over the general 5 steps to investing and kind of went over Fred Tishar's method for investing in real estate, and that's to find, analyze. Oh my gosh. UCLA just went up on Florida State. Uh, But it's to find, analyze, buy, fix, sell, or rent method. And I just like the view that he takes on investing in real estate. It's very simple. All the steps are kind of laid out, and it's taught in his 2 books, or 3 books I wrote. He's written 3, but I've only read 2 of them. And Follow the Golden Brick Road is a great resource, and for realtors, real estate investors, Clients for Life is another great book to read as well. But let's get started into finding investment properties. So step 1, kind of before you get started, you have to ask yourself kind of 3 important questions about the property. And it's, what can this property sell for based on the comparable sales? How much the repairs will cost, and how much do you want to make in profits? Because those are 3 very important questions that center around how you write offers and how you move forward with making the purchase of an investment. And you should know these things before you even go view the property. You can do a lot of market analysis. Your realtor can even do it for you. But that's how it is. So once you answer those 3 questions, you kind of need to find your criteria for investing. And it's because every single person who invests has different needs. They have different goals and objectives that they want to complete with their investment. But like cash flow, tax benefits, but I think the most important things that should be focused when you're investing, this is what Fred teaches, this is what Brad's told me too, is that it's all about wealth building and generating retirement income. Because it's a great way to support your lifestyle all the way throughout retirement, and you're in control of the business that you create through investing in real estate, and that money that comes in every month adds up for the rest of your life. It's a great way. But once you define your criteria, you know what you're looking for, you only purchase properties that meet that. And that helps you a lot when you go to find properties, because you have a very narrow search of what you're looking for, and you know what works. And that's the whole thing, because if you purchase too high, it's not a safe investment. You're not making money, you're not doing the right things, you're not being savvy about what you're doing. But when you're out searching, very important to focus on finding good deals. When investing, you make your money when you buy. That's everything. You buy something for too expensive and the market says that it's actually less a couple months later, you're not going to sell it for that much. So you always need to know the numbers and what you're doing when you're out looking for these properties. But it's also very important to purchase under value, because you gain instant equity on the appreciation, which is huge. The more equity you have in your property too, it just opens up more possibilities, because then you can create different lines of credits and keep investing your money and making that money work for you and growing your portfolio. That's what it's all about. Once you get one, you can kind of work your way into multiple, and that's what it's really all about, is having those properties there so you can have something later on in life when you're looking to retire. You should also purchase properties based on what the property will be valued after the repairs, not what you hope it'll be worth in the future. That kind of goes back to the same idea. You have to be savvy about it. You have to really know what you're doing to make a smart investment. There are multiple places to find properties though. Realtors are a great way of helping find one. They have connections through other realtors, MLS access. They can get you into viewing these properties. They can also help advertise. I see a lot of realtors are on Facebook groups, and they make posts on there like, I have a buyer looking for a 3-bed 2-bath or in this price range in this area or something like that. Those can be great ways to find deals, especially word of mouth is a great way. I don't know what's going to be like in the future because the market's changing right now, but I know before a lot of these investment properties were happening off market deals, and a lot of them, the really good deals that you can get, were all through word of mouth. And that's how I know a lot of people who are having trouble even getting into like their first property, not even investment wise, just a property to live in. Word of mouth has helped them get into their property because it eliminates that whole competition factor. But if you don't have anywhere for word of mouth, there's auction websites. Foreclosures haven't really been happening as much since COVID, the moratorium. We'll see how it is in the future, but that's where you're at. Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Redfin, LoopNet, Crexi are all great places to find multiple different types of investments. LoopNet and Crexi are more commercial properties. The county assessor's page, which is my favorite, that's for just even like prospecting on as being a realtor and just like finding out what people own and how much people own, especially investors. That's how you can get in contact with them and figure out who they are and create these connections. But when you're out looking, there are multiple ways to spot a potential fixer-upper property. There's multiple signs that just by looking at that you can tell it's likely to be a good investment. It could be completely vacant, boarded up windows with city violation tags. Some people aren't so eager to take that type of work on where you have to deal with code violations, but some investors have no issue doing it and they just know what needs to be done, and they'll make sure that the city approves of it. It's a little weird in Omaha. I know if the property has not been tagged by the city, they don't really care about much. But because just like a lot of things, they're understaffed and that's how it is. But once they do tag it, they're coming around to check those code violations every so often. So just have to know what you're getting yourself into. But typically good investment properties, especially if you're looking for like a B level or B grade property somewhere around there, they're typically the ugly ducklings in those neighborhoods. Maybe the yards might not have been maintained as well, but something like that. But if you're investing in single families and looking to rent 2 single families, 3 bedrooms is kind of the mandatory with a spacious kitchen, good floor plan. That's really it. I mean, I've seen some floor plans that just don't really like, there's no really room for storage and everything's crammed, and I wouldn't really want to live there, so I wouldn't really want to make an investment where somebody's gonna have to make do with those circumstances unless you can change it. I know, some investors have no issue reworking floor plans, or even converting them into multi-units. But now I'm going to go in more into classifying properties. Just basically, most important thing when you go to investing is that only you can take great pride and work in your investments, and your tenants will know the values that you hold throughout the course of time when you're working with them. Um, and you want your tenants to take the same exact care that you would take into that property. Um, I believe investing, you can create a positive impact on the community around you, and you're giving somebody the opportunity to take possession of a home. And that's something that anybody would need. We all have that dream of occupying our own property one day, whether that's renting it or purchasing it, because sometimes renting is just the best option for some people. Uh, that's just how life is. Some people like the idea of settling down and purchasing property, but when you're leasing a property out to somebody, you're giving them the chance to occupy that space and make you money. So you want to treat them with dignity and pride, and they'll do the same to you. A grade properties are the new properties built in the last 10 to 15 years. They have the up-to-date amenities and will demand the highest rents. There's typically no deferred maintenance with these. They're pretty much turnkey and ready to go. Once the owner moves out, you can start bringing people in. Older properties that are older than 15 years can also fall into this category if they're in highly desirable areas. Just depends on what you're working with. These are typically going to be your most expensive investments, and that's just due to the location where most of these are in. B grade properties are just slightly below, and with time, properties can work their way up the grade scale. But these properties may have some maintenance, but there's issues with them that they can't demand the highest rents. They might be in that highly desirable area, but the floor plan is just a little smaller, so you can't get like the biggest size family in there to demand the highest rent, or you can't get multiple people in there to get your numbers working the way you want them. But a savvy investor with these B grade properties can see the appreciation potential, and these properties are very, very easy to raise the value by making minor improvements. C grade properties, they're built in the last 30 plus years, and these are kind of typically the more up and coming areas. But when you're classifying C grade properties, the location's more important than condition at this point, because the property can be improved upon, the location around it cannot really be, and that's very important because you can't change the environment that the property is sitting in. You can only change how that property is looking and how it runs after you take possession of it. But just like anything, these properties can be turned up a grade and go into a B property. The last grading is D properties. These typically have the most maintenance in getting it up and running, the highest deferred maintenance cost. They do have the lowest rents that you can get. But these properties are often considered the high risk, high reward ones. They're cash flow machines, and over time they might even appreciate, and they might work their way up to a B grade property just with how people move and migrate to certain locations and what development occurs around it. Mostly commercial development is the most important factor in raising an area's property values, because if you have the businesses there, you have more people that are going to be wanting to move closer to work, and the nicer all that stuff is, property values go up. But this is all I have today for finding properties. Just basically, you just have to define your criteria, know what you're looking for, and know what your finances are and what you can work with, and that really defines what you can search for. And when you're looking for that, You just have to know the numbers, and the numbers will tell you if it is a smart investment that you can make money on or if not. And that's the most important thing about being a savvy investor, is knowing what you're dealing with and knowing all the tiny little details. But in the next video, I'll be going in more into analyzing properties. There's multiple ways you can do that, and I think that's probably going to end up being a multi-video part, because there's just so much in the analysis portion, but that really helps you know what you can get